Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome once again to our Surah series. Here in this series, we are trying to understand the Quran in its depth and its relevance for the modern day society, the society that we are living in today. So, in this session, we are trying to understand Surah Al-Ma'un. It's a very short surah and very powerful surah also, and that in fact reminds us of the true meaning of faith and worship. See, many of us actually think that faith is simply about praying, like offering namaz for 5 times or fasting and following certain religious rituals and practices. But what if I tell you that your prayers could even be rejected if your actions do not reflect upon certain characters like kindness and compassion? So this surah is actually serving as a powerful warning against hypocrisy and a reminder that true Islam is not just about rituals or practices, but it's also about our behavior towards others, especially the weak, the needy, the downtrodden, the marginalized sections. So today let's explore the background of the surah, the key themes and the lessons of the surah, and also what the practicality in our life also. Most importantly, how we can apply the message that you learn from this in our daily lives. So let's get started. Let's talk about the background and revelation context. Okay, so have you seen the one who denies the religion? That's how it starts with. So I'm going in English, so that will be more comfortable with everyone and for me also, because Arabic is actually a strange language. I can read, but I cannot discuss in depth with that. So I'll go with English. So this Makan Surah was revealed in a time when the Qurayshis, elites actually oppressed the poor, neglected, they neglected the orphans and the poor, and also used religion for social status instead of true devotion. So here, this is a context where, you're actually talking about your actions should reflect upon, your religious symbols or religious practices actually. So here it's all about mistreating orphans and ignoring the poor. The context, if I'm talking about, the leaders of Makkah at that point of time were known for mistreating orphans. A lot of orphans are there because a lot of wars were fighting at that point of time, and ignoring the poor, ignoring the marginalized, ignoring the downtrodden section, and performing religious rituals only for, some kind of public recognition. This is a context, and using their wealth and status to oppress others maximum. So this surah was actually a direct challenge to their, hypocrisy. And it teaches us that Islam is not just about worshiping Allah. It's not just about your praying or offering namaz 5 times, but also about how you treat people. And that's more important. It's a way of life. So let's try to break the surah down and let's try to understand its powerful message. The key theme of the surah is actually true faith, which requires action. Even if you talk about the modern day saints like Swami Vivekananda also, in this context, there is no point in discussing. He, in fact, also talking about the same thing. Let's not get into that, but still, he's also talking about the same thing only. The faith actually requires action, right? So for that, if you talk about that verses from the surah, for that is the one who drives away the orphan and does not encourage the feeding of the poor. So true believers care for the weak and vulnerable. If someone is hungry, rather than preaching religion, you feed him. If someone is sick, rather than preaching religion, you give him medicine. This is actually the true teaching. So from Swami Vivekananda also, if you read about him, but from where it is actually coming, it is there in Quran and it is there in this series, in this surah actually. So true believers actually care for the weak and vulnerable, and they believe in action rather than preaching. So preaching is something anyone can do, but action is more important. Islam is a religion of action. Our faith is reflected in our kindness, generosity, and compassion towards others. So you should be compassionate towards your fellow beings. If someone prays, someone fasts and gives speeches about Islam, but it doesn't care for others, their faith is incomplete. Many of the Maulavis and Maulanas also, if you can preach, that doesn't mean that you are, true believer of Allah. You simply pray, you keep fasting, but that doesn't mean if your actions are not reflecting upon that. So it is true for everyone, these Maulavis, Maulanas, or for normal all of us also. It's the same thing. If your actions are not reflecting upon what you're actually preaching, then there is of no use. That's what the surah is all about, and that's the main theme of the surah. Orphans and the needy in Islam, if you see, Prophet Muhammad actually said, the one who cares for an orphan, and I will be together in paradise like this, holding his fingers together. So this actually shows that helping the weak is an act of worship itself. So here you can see that a lot of emphasis and importance is given how you need to treat the orphans or the weaker sections, especially orphans. Okay. So worship without sincerity is actually meaningless. So this the verse, if you take, so woe to those who pray but are headless of their prayer. What does this mean? See, some people pray but don't truly connect with Allah. You just come for 5 times, either at your home or come to masjid, and you do that, you pray that, but you really don't connect with Allah. Their prayers is just a ritual. This is just a religious practice without sincerity or reflection. And this is actually called Riya, which means show of worship, praying for others to see, and maybe for social status or prestige, rather than, for Allah alone. So here you are coming to masjids, showing off. That's what you call as riya. So what does true prayer look like? A prayer that humbles you and make you a better person. And whatever it should be reflected in your actions also. So a prayer that reminds you to be grateful, patient, and kind. The prayer that make you compassionate towards the fellow human beings. So if our prayers do not change our behavior, then we definitely have to ask ourselves, are we truly praying, or are we just performing a ritual? So just for the sake of doing something, you're doing it, and it's just performing ritual without actually truly reflecting upon what you are doing or what you're asked to do by Allah. So every small act of kindness matters. And you see this verses like this, and refuse to give even the smallest kindness. The word ma'un means small acts of kindness. Things like it could be sharing food and water. That's a basic necessity. Helping your neighbor, helping an orphan, offering even a kind word. That means the small act of kindness is important. So that's what your actions should reflect upon, what you preach or what you pray or what you really want to do or what you're asked to do. So it's actions what ultimately matters. So what does this verse that I've discussed is teaching you? Even small actions have big rewards in Islam. So some people think, I don't have money to give charity. But charity is not just giving money, guys. That's something which you need to understand, at least in the even a smile is a charity. Even a kind word is a charity. It's not all about money. If you can give a helping hand at one point of time, in not in terms of money, that is also charity. A smile to us, someone who's very sad and depressed, that is a charity. A kind word is enough for someone at some point of time. So Prophet actually says, save yourself from hell even with half a date in charity. Okay, so the main lesson from this chapter, the surah, if you see, even the tiny act of kindness can bring us closer to Allah and closer to Jannah. So, see, it's all about, Islam is more than just rituals. Many people mistakenly believe that you do the prayers as per what is required. You do fasting, you go for Hajj, and you do the rituals, everything is over. Worship is not complete without kindness and social. The key lessons, if you see, it's about Islam is more than just rituals, right? So worship is not complete without kindness and social responsibility. So Islam basically teaches you to be compassionate, you to be kind to the fellow human beings, and it reminds you of your social responsibility also. And it's all about helping others. It's as important as praying and fasting. So if you're just praying and fasting, that won't be enough if your actions are not reflected upon that, or if you're not kind to others, if you're not fulfilling your social responsibility, there is no excuse that by saying that you're not rich. I told you there is a small act of kindness also what matters, right? So again, even if you're praying, that must be sincere. So if our prayer doesn't improve your character, we need to check your intentions, right? So worship is about connection and not just performance. If you cannot make that real connect with Allah, and for that the other things also need to be required, you should be doing that. Even small deeds count in Islam. So never underestimate the small act of kindness. It could be your, ticket to Jinnah. So Islam is a religion of mercy. It's a religion of kindness, generosity, compassion, and helping the downtrodden and the marginalized section. So this is what all about. Now, if you look at future impact, how can we apply this surah in your life? Check your intentions in worship. Ask yourself, am I praying for Allah or for others to see? Work on improving, humility in Salah. Khushu, humility in Salah. So humility is very much important again. And help someone every day if possible. Even a small gesture can be rewarded by Allah. So smile at someone, share food, help a struggling family. These are simple things which can be easily done. So this surah is all about that only, and take care of the weak in society, the weak, the downtrodden, or the marginalized, or the orphans, the widows. So support orphans through donation or personal care, whatever possible. Give food or money to those in need, even a little if it helps, right? So who in your life could benefit from a small kinds of kindness that you are doing today? That's what ultimately matters. At least if someone else benefit, rather than you simply offering prayer, you're simply doing fasting or performing rituals without any connect with Allah. If you can help someone who's his own creation but facing extreme difficulty in life, this is how you really connect with Allah. Okay, so brothers and sisters, what I want to tell you is this is a wake up call. This surah is actually a wake up call for all of us. And it teaches us that Islam is not just about praying, it's about living our faith through kindness, sincerity, generosity, compassion, and all these are very important. And other things like I talk about integrity, I talk about fairness, I talk about transparency and everything in other surah also. But here, let's talk about these dimensions, kindness and compassion towards the poor and needy and the downtrodden. So if we ignore the needy, if we pray just for the show, our worship loses its value. There is of no point in doing that. So let's make a commitment today that pray with sincerity and help definitely those who are in need and make kindness a daily habit. So see, what is like a small act of kindness you will do today definitely going to compound, right? So, and that will be rewarded towards the end also, and even in this world as well as in the other world. So that's all about this session. May Allah bless us all. Thank you so much for attending. See you in the next video.